gentlemen, it is time for prize fighters, circus freaks, and gangsters. I'm Jamie.
And I'm Greta.
And this is the podcast where we give you a time machine, we jump in it, and we fly back in time to the 19th century, the dopest century, to get a good look at what was going on in the times of George Hackenschmidt, Sanduina, and all the other cool people in the 19th century.
Yeah, but I'm bringing my own soap, goddammit.
Yeah, lie is not my favorite thing. So while we're discussing fashion fighting and all other awesome things in the world, we're discussing Warrior Season 2, Episode 5. Not for a drink, a fuck, or a goddamn prayer. And honestly, I did not hear those words spoken anywhere in this episode. Did you?
Oh, I heard it, but my assumption of like what it was going to be about, and don't worry, I'll point it out to you. I was really, really wrong, but my earlier assumption from last episode was like, this is going to be a very angry episode. I was right about that.
Oh, you were right about that. And this one awesomely opens with a close-up of Joe Taslim just being ripped as fuck.
Oh my God.
He's doing like a form of some kind. He makes Assam look like a mess.
And can I just say how perfect his form is too?
Yeah, I don't know what kind of form he's doing. Do you recognize it at all?
The stance he was in with his legs, that really super long triangle, makes me think it's a kung fu type. Some kung fu descendant. And then also the way he swung his arms around. I was sort of hoping that you would have some insight to it, but it was sort of like, no, this is basic form type kung fu, but that triangle he has his legs in when he does like his stance, I'm like, that is sort of the heart of, kung fu, and just the hip alignment, the leg alignment. I'm just like, that's where that's coming from. Mm-hmm. Beyond that, I got nothing.
Well, you've got a great eye, because Joe Taslim, or Taslim, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name properly, but just for a frame of reference, the dude's 5'10". He was the 81 kg, which is 180 pounds, Indonesian national judo team member from 1997 to 2009. So he's a judo player, but before that, he did taekwondo. He was also a wushu guy, and he did pencak silat, which is an Indonesian style, similar in a lot of ways to kung fu. So it might have been something of his own devising. It might have been a wushu thing. It might even have been pencak silat. We only saw a little bit of it.
Yeah, I was going to say that spinning of the arms had a very wushu feel to it. And, they could have just played around with, like, what's going to look fucking cool.
Yeah.
Because it did.
Yeah, and he's flexing his ass off. Is that something that you typically do in forms?
I do know that when you're going real slow, you do sort of this isometric thing a lot of times. Mm-hmm. And so I felt like that's kind of what he was doing, but also
That's what I assumed he was doing as well. Yeah. But I mean, I've been doing a lot of isometrics recently, and I was thinking, damn, isometrics work. Like, you could buy that he has that physique. I mean, yeah, like I said, he's 5'10", 178 centimeters, and 180 pounds. Like, he's a well-built man. And, I mean, you could buy that he did it with isometrics, although I think there was probably worse.
Oh, definitely too. But I just know from like when you're doing sort of like really slow forms, and again, my background's just in karate, but there is always sort of this isometric element when you're doing moves really slowly, or within a kata, there'll be some fast and slow, and the slow stuff is super isometric. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, horse stance is an amazing way to build your legs.
Yeah, it was. Like, just looking at his hip alignment and his shoulders and just the confidence, and he moved like into each of the shapes he was in, and I'm like, this guy is just good.
Oh yeah, I mean, he made Van Damme just look like a man who looked like he didn't know how to flex or do karate. Like, he looked great. So that was an amazing scene to open with.
Okay, I will stop drooling now. Picturesque as hell lighting. And
he didn't need to be oiled up for that scene, because every woman on there was just licking him as he'd walk past.
And so Mei Ling walks in, and the first thing that popped into my mind was, she's not wearing her practical warlord PJs. What the hell?
What did you think of this outfit?
oh, okay. I guess, if it's sort of reflecting kind of her mindset, I felt like she was sort of doubting some of her actions, and then so she's being a little vulnerable, but by the end of it, oh yeah, she just talks herself back into being hard as fuck.
Yeah, and honestly, I didn't even take a note on anything she said. I just made a bunch of notes about Joe Taslim. So if you want to talk about his physique more, I have more comments.
Yeah. So that was sort of all of that. Like, it's sort of like, yeah, Mai Ling she's doing all the things she thinks she's supposed to be doing, and she's not satisfied. So she's like, she's having that wavering.
Meanwhile, both she and we were just constantly looking at Joe Taslim's abs because he was doing that kung fu casual ab flex thing like Bruce Lee used to do. And, he looked nice.
But enough of the nice looking stuff. Let's go into the incredibly, completely effed up factory.
Yeah, and as Penny's walking through and holding her nose, you knew she was going, oh, I don't like that smell. I don't know what heroin smells like, but it can't smell good, I guess.
Yeah, well, especially when it's sort of like all blowed up and everything. But it was funny because the opium had slipped my mind when thinking about like blowing up the factory and everything. But I did have an earlier premonition that something bad is going to happen about hiding it in the factory. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, that's why there were those guys in the basement that they didn't expect to be there. They were there guarding the heroin.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Sophie was like, oh, it's my little hidey hole. And I'm like, of course the Hopway found the hidey hole.
Of course that's where they're hiding that heroin.
Yeah. So, like, that was a nice... Once again, the writers closed a loop, and I love when they do that.
That is awesome.
Okay, so that's a whole thing. And now Bill O'Hara and Lee have switched positions.
Oh, yeah. O'Hara is riling up the troops, and Lee looks like a corpse that has shambled into the office.
And this is where the title is said. Bill has a purpose. He's like doing the locker room speech. Huh. And that's where he says, take care of everything you need to take care of during the day, because nobody leaves after their shift, not for a drink or a fuck or a goddamn prayer at a church.
Yeah, I was too busy. I was all caught up in the fact that it had turned into an Under Armour commercial, and they were like, this is our house! Oh, this is our house!
Yes, yeah. I actually wrote in my notes, locker room time. And and then Lee, and these guys are all like, huh. And Lee just rolls in.
Yeah. Oh, they would have been playing DMX should have been playing in that scene because they needed that song for that moment.
Yeah. So Lee just rolls in, as you said, looking like a corpse. And my favorite part is Bill's like, "What? What's going on here, man? I'm at work with my shit together, and you're coming in late, looking like hell."
Yeah. And then Lee just points out that. Because he's like, well, you got to get out here and help me with this. And he's like, bro, all of this is your fault. Every last bit of this is your fault. You can eat shit. My head is your fault. This precinct going to war, your fault. Your family, your fault. By the way, you live alone. Your fault.
And Bill's trying to like do the cover up thing. He's like, no, I'm taking responsibility for this. I'm going to take the Feng Hai down. And Lee's like, I call it bullshit. Are you telling everybody why this happened? No.
Yeah.
So you're not taking responsibility for it. And those big wooden locker doors are great for slamming.
Yeah. Seemed more like a cover-up than a taking responsibility for.
Shut up.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just what it looked like to me.
Hey, I'm doing something. Doesn't that count? I'm doing a thing.
I made it slightly better.
Or not.
Jesus.
Okay, so...
You know what, though? I will say those are things you do in your 20s. Because you think that you can fix something that you half-assed the first time. You think you can fix it with another half-assed thing. And they just keep compiling. And your life keeps getting worse because you keep getting painted into this corner of your own creation. So
because you won't go back and fix the problem at the bottom, the thing that you did, you want to...
Yeah, you won't just step up and say, yeah, I fucked that up right at the beginning, and then I lied to you for a while because I was embarrassed. Yeah. If you just say that, it goes way easier, but... Because everybody has done it, so... but
yeah, we get to go to Awkward Relationship Central. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Asam's trying to absorb exactly how fucked he is as he's walking around this factory. And he is like shuddering and his breath is jittering, which we've never seen out of this man.
Yeah.
And then he looks up and sees Penny staring at him and he's like, oh my God, I thought that life was literally as I was living in apocalypse. And no, now I'm in hell. I've died, no, I've gone to hell.
And he starts off with like, Penny? And she's just like, don't even talk to me. And so at first, like, he knows he fucked up and Penny's flipping him some shit. And he's like, yeah, because he knows whatever's going on here, it's all going to be 100 times worse from Father June. But then Penny goes that, like, just like with Sam before, she goes that one extra step too far.
Yeah. You know, her like weird trembly rage voice reminds me of my own mother's trembly rage voice. And she'd get this like turkey gobble sound to her voice when she'd be getting really wound up into her zone. And, that made me nervous just to hear it in somebody else.
Okay, so that's really wild. There's some things that guys do in this show that have an emotional impact on me. So it's really interesting. I just heard that. I'm like, oh, okay, the good acting. I know where that's coming from. But that, like, hit you at an emotional spot. That's cool. That's interesting.
Oh, yeah. That's one of those alarm bells where I'm like, ooh, back up slowly, nod in agreement, and find the door with your back, and then get out of it.
Yeah, because, that's definitely a signal that there's no reasoning anymore.
Nope.
But so Penny does say, I know what you were when I hired you. And for
she
Assam,
crushes it with that voice.
with Assam, that's like one too far. And he's just like, well, what does that say about you? And it's like, okay, this relationship is not salvageable anytime soon.
Yeah, it is concluded.
Yes.
It was, and wow, what a terrible response. She says to him, like, okay, every man in my entire life fucked me over. I thought you were the one person on earth I could trust. We were going to trust each other and we were going to succeed together. And you fucked me. You fucked me. And he was like, yeah, but it was your fault, kind of, because you knew who I was. Like, what? Come on.
Yeah. No, that is
but
that.
Then I guess I've heard that logic a lot in my life from other people.
But that was definitely that moment that women who are like hanging on to a bad situation, like finally you break my favorite teapot or whatever, and I'm like, well, can't fix that. You can't fix the relationship. I'm out. There's nothing you can say. I'm walking away.
Wow, you and I know very different people. You've had relationship breakups over teapots.
Okay, the teapot was a filler, but okay. So then we get Flanagan and Leary, and Flanagan has his big boy pants on.
Oh yeah, he is very, very. Flanagan is such a fun character. He's such a stereotype.
Oh yeah.
He does everything really, but like yell about people trying to steal his Lucky Charms.
And so Leary's going full like IRA, and somebody had to blow things up because goddamn Chinese. But then when he discovers that it's really about one rich person figuring out a way to give money to another rich person, now he's like, and now I'm really mad.
Yeah, and Leary has a legitimate gripe with this man. So it's again like and you also notice that they have some kind of a history here. Mm-hmm. We don't know what their history is, but they have some kind of a history. Mm-hmm. And so more of the Leary backstory we're trying to fill in. It's so mysterious. And so do you think maybe he was a cop together, or they know each other from the old country, or what do you think?
I just think at some level it's like, I'm an Irish dude, you're an Irish dude, we should be on the same team. What the hell? But also it's like, here I am, running my benevolent societies, doing my labor union thing, doing soup kitchens, and you're just a running dog for the man.
Yeah, and he really, it is a scathing indictment because he really is just a thug for the industrialists. Mm-hmm. And that's really, cops were just thugs for the industrialists at that point.
Right. And
slave owners.
Yeah, on one hand, it's like when he's just like a beat cop, it's like, I need a job to feed my family. But Flanagan decided to climb the power structure, and I think that's what's pissing Leary off the most.
Yeah, and I think that, I would understand having like an understanding of what had gone on in Ireland. You would, getting to the United States and having nothing and having been basically a slave in Ireland, like, you would be, I mean, I would run right to the cops and be like, yep, I'm signing up. I know it's shit, but goddamn, I want to eat. Like, they just came off of famine. Like, the man needs to feed himself.
Yeah, 3 hots and a cot, and like I get a suit of clothes to wear to work. You know, I have a wage. And since a bunch of the cops were Irish, like these are kind of your people.
Yeah, and so you probably have it in your head that he's doing the same thing as Leary. He's trying to protect his people, make the world a better place. Just like Leary is trying to protect his people and make the world a better place. But they're just approaching it from 2 different sides of the law, I guess.
Right. Yeah. With Flanagan, it's sort of like, no. You're not making it a better place because, like, you're climbing inside of this, like, rich guy power structure. You're kind of betraying us, I feel like, is how Leary's seeing it.
Yeah, Leary definitely sees it that way. But I think that the chief also sees it like blowing up the stuff around us is not the way to, making the world a better place. Like, you can't destroy everything while you're trying to make the world better.
Like, everybody kind of knows it's the Irish who are doing it because they're blowing up the Chinese factories. You're giving the Irish a bad name. And by climbing inside the power structure, are trying to make the Irish respectable. And you're fucking it up, man.
Yep.
So, yeah, they each have a gripe at each other. So then, Atoy gets to go out in the country.
Yes, she goes out to visit Sonoma. And do you know anything about the history of Sonoma? Because I am fascinated now by the history of Sonoma.
I don't know a whole heck of a lot. Before you dive all the way into that, the question that popped in my head as she sort of like looks out the window and then steps out into the sunlight, I was like, I wonder what the last time Atoy was like in a countryside that was pretty. Like, not like the war-torn home, but like, I was just like, this has got to be like really affecting her.
Well, you really were bang on the money then, because you presaged exactly what was going to happen.
I mean, they were with the music and everything, and the way Atoy was acting, it was sort of getting me there. So, did you look up stuff about Sonoma, or are we going to have to dive into that later?
No. I did look up stuff in Sonoma because I...
Okay. Tell me.
I was curious when they started planting wine there because, so they're looking out on this big vineyard and Atoy discovers that Nellie Davenport has basically created a paradise for these young women who are trapped in America. They have, and just as a reminder, it was illegal to basically be a Chinese woman in America at this time. A Chinese woman was not allowed to legally enter America. They had no rights. They couldn't go to school. They couldn't buy property. They were less than nothing. They were incapable of becoming something.
Right.
So in the real life, the real life was the same as the show, but the first peoples to settle this that were not native to the region, the tribes who were native to the region had been there since about 8,000 BC. But guess what country they came from? In fact, I'll give you 5 choices. We'll go with Spain, Portugal, France, Germany, and Russia.
Well, I know that the Russians had colonies there to feed the sealers up in Alaska, and the Spanish were over there because of the dividing line in the 16th century. So I don't know which one was first, though.
Well, the Russians, you were right, 1812. The Russian-American Company, which was the first Russian joint stock company ever founded, which is like the British East India Company in Britain.
Right.
They founded Fort Ross in 1812, and the Russian-Californian period lasted from 1812 to 1842, and it was basically run by this Russian-American company, which also tried to take over Hawaii at one point.
Oh, yes!
Yeah.
And there's like an Elizaveta something in Hawaii that's named after a Russian empress or princess or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's fun. Yeah, even the main bay in San Francisco originally had a Russian name, but it was changed. The Spanish and the Russians like disputed claims on certain parts of California. The Spanish claimed it all the way up basically to Canada. And and then the Russians just controlled basically right around San Francisco, and the rest of it was called Alta California. And so after there was a mission that was founded there in 1823, which was turned into a pueblo in 1835, which was like a military base for the Spanish. Then it got its civil government in 1844, and then the conquest of California happened in 1846. So the entire time these people are, well, at least from 1843 on, they're growing grapes, or 1834 on, they're growing grapes.
Yes,
because
yeah.
a settler started planting them in 1834, but wild grapes already grew there. So the monks were probably already pressing wine prior to 1834. But I was just curious because the winery seemed so well established already. I was like, all right, so there had to have been some kind of vineyard there previously.
Yeah, so the Russians, they're like the Russian River, if you've ever sort of been in that area or you know stuff about wine. That was the area that the Russians settled, and they had like farms there because they had the guys hunting a bunch of different seals and sea otters and then trading with the Native Americans, because the Native Americans would get sea otter pelts for them. And I don't know if you know this, but Russia's cold, and everybody was loving sea otter fur for clothes in Russia.
I did not know that. The ridiculous lengths that they went to get those furs back there, though, now this makes sense. Because the ports in China were closed to them, so they had to go around.
Yeah, and also the Spanish were also doing some trading with China, and they would also trade sea otter and some seal, but mainly sea otter fur with the Chinese, because the Chinese really dug the sea otter fur as well. Because like you think about like in this period, you'll see like the Mandarin hats that have like those fur rims and those fur epaulets and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that as well. And sea otter fur is insanely thick and warm and soft. It's bonkers. But yeah, so the Spanish were there, and they had established wine vineyards. They were actually using Spanish grapes when they established wine vineyards, because the fathers would take them with them when they set up their missions along the coast as they like moved north.
Okay.
Because you had to have sacramental wine. And yeah, there were wild grapes there, but those grapes weren't good for wine grapes necessarily.
Okay, so is Napa Spain then?
Yeah, Napa was originally like Spanish land, and so a lot of the early grapes.
Oh no, I meant like are those grapes Spanish grapes?
Currently?
Well, the Napa Valley grapes, because that's just what I read in 1834. George Calvert Yount built the first homestead to plant grapes, and they were Napa grapes.
Yeah. So at that point, yeah, they're going to be Spanish grapes. They might have had some Italian grapes mixed into it, because this is the time when like America has had a wine grape crisis from the beginning of colonization, because east of the Rockies you have the problem with the little grape aphid, Phylloxera.
Okay.
And so you could not grow European grapes in America because the Phylloxera, this little grape aphid, would just fuck it up. And you have to go and listen to, this is the one time I'm going to really push it, but you have to go and listen to my episode on American wine grapes and why we didn't have any for a really long time, because the stupid life cycle of the stupid bug is like insane. It has like 14 different life stages, and that's why it was so hard to kill.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Huh.
And because these people like didn't understand contamination and germs and bugs and everything, they were just bringing grape samples, Europe to America, America to Europe, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And so of course they totally brought Phylloxera to Europe and almost killed the European wine grapes.
Oh damn. That would have been a mess. Everybody would have been drinking mead, I guess.
Yeah, and so part of what saved it is that in South America and west of the Rockies, the Spanish grape varieties and some Italian grape varieties that had been over there that hadn't got whammed with Phylloxera yet was able to contribute to the recovery of the European wine grape.
Huh. Well, then no wonder this region is so important and why it became so wealthy.
Yeah. And so that was a big thing when like Chilean wine and stuff was being rediscovered in America. They were pointing out that there are some strains in Chile and other parts of South America that are the original strains from Europe from before Phylloxera. So,
huh? Well, that's cool. I take it you're a bit of a wine snob then.
I am more of a wine enjoyer. I don't get
a wine enthusiast.
Yes. Like, people are like, oh, this is better than this. I'm like, does it taste good? That's all I care about. Like,
there you go.
And I just sort of divide it into, do you drink this wine with food, or can you drink this wine just like sipping it? And I mean, yeah, there's more to it, but I'm always the one who's like, oh, a new grape I've never heard of. I would love to try that.
That's fascinating. I'm deathly allergic to grapes, and I have always hated the smell of wine. So yeah, I'm really. I always thought that grapes were supposed to make your mouth go numb, and I was like, why the hell do people like these things? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, that would make wine not a thing. Okay, so yes. They could.
Yeah, I couldn't. I can't even hold it down. I tried to drink a bottle of my wife's wine once out of spite, and I could not hold it in my stomach at all. That's how I knew I was definitely allergic to wine.
So yes, they definitely were growing wine in Sonoma at this point, and so Nellie having a vineyard and selling wine to San Francisco, 100% plausible. Because things economically around locally grown food at this point were just a goddamn mess. And so if somebody could get their shit together and sell a good product, yeah, they were going to do well.
Yeah, especially since, like we discussed before, America's in a depression. So they have a cash crop during a depression that is also during a time of scarcity for that cash crop. So, I mean, it's a perfect thing that they have going on.
Yeah, Atoy's there, and she brings Lai, and I think she also brought just, like, one of her maids to kind of help out. And, like, she's like, Toodles, go.
Yeah, go be free.
Yeah, Nellie's like, hey, I've totally fleshed out your vision of what owning land in America could be. And Atoy is having the big feels.
Yeah, isn't this the same region in which she was trying to buy land anyway?
Yeah, Grass Valley and Sonoma are nearish each other for sure.
Okay. Yeah. So she did really kind of get a taste of all what she almost had with that lost business deal.
Right, and she's like, wow, Nellie has this plan. She seems to be inviting me in. Holy shit, I could do this, and I could do this better and not have to work through a sniveling goddamn lawyer.
Exactly.
Couple things I had to do. That Atoy was like, much of my survival has been based on not feeling, and Nellie has made her like feel all these feelings, and she's freaking out.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was interesting. She mentions that she was growing tomatoes with her grandmother in China, which would have been like the late 18th century, early 19th century. Totally plausible. There have been tomatoes in that part of the world since around the 1600s. So
were they eating tomatoes? Because I remember reading that tomatoes and potatoes were both initially considered to be poisonous in Europe.
Not in China.
Oh, okay.
In Europe, because they weren't as good at botany, or the guys who were writing books about botany weren't as good as botany. I think the peasants had it figured out much faster. But no. In China, you had some really good botanists. And when the Portuguese were bringing potatoes and tomatoes to Asia, yeah, especially the sweet potato, because it can be eaten raw. Mm-hmm. It was just, they couldn't get enough of it. They loved it.
I can't eat enough dried sweet potato, which is a Chinese snack. Oh my God. I eat that stuff so much and so fast that I get like severe stomach problems from all the fiber. I can't stop eating it. I love that stuff. Have you ever had it? It's like candy.
I've never had that.
Oh my God. I don't even know what it's called. Whenever I go into a Chinese grocery store, I buy a couple bags and then I'm sick.
You'll have to send me a picture.
Right.
I'm dying to try it.
Yeah, it looks very similar to dried papaya. Like it's just usually in longer strips.
Oh, I was just saying, like a picture of the bag, and then I can suss out like what it's called.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, or just look for the package as well.
And then we turn to Mayor Walrus.
Is it now walrus time?
It is.
Tell me about the walrus.
It's peanut butter walrus time, because Mayor Blakely shows up at the factory, and he looks like the Monopoly man ate all the other characters in Monopoly, and then he showed up to gloat at an exploded factory.
Oh.
And he is a walrus just crushing a hapless human who happened to get in his way.
Yeah, he's pretty much a bastard to Penny the whole time. Oh, I'm not here to gloat, but I am here to try my damnedest to make you feel worse.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I'm not here to gloat. I'm here to tell you that if you're 1 minute late on your contract, we're going to pull the contract, and then your factory will be gone, and you'll be living at home with me. So you might as well just give up now and come live with me now. And then he says, it'll be good to have you home again, dear. And just throws the deer in like a dart.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Like, he is still stewing over what she said to him last episode. He's been, like, planning this. He's been workshopping it. Yeah.
Yeah. He and Buckley stayed up all night doing coke and just like, yeah, try this one. Try this one. Oh, God.
And then we find out that young June will never be good at chess. Or even checkers, I don't think.
No. Young June and I have a very similar poker face. I'm trying very hard to work on it, but yeah, I see more and more of myself in young June. It's very embarrassing.
Because he can only look at the move he's looking at right now.
Oh, God.
It's going to take it. It's going to take it faster and harder because I got to do a thing. What's the point of being in a tong if I can't go fuck shit up right now with my boys?
Exactly. I see no problems with any of his points, honestly. I think everybody else is the problem, honestly. Yeah. Young June. Yeah. He's a bright man. He's a tactician for our times. Yeah, but then Hong comes in like Chinese Sherlock Holmes. My God, I wish I was more Hong and less Young June. He's Chinese Sherlock Holmes. He figures out the entire goddamn plot that these two idiots have cooked up and fucked up. They figured out the entire thing. He's figured it out, and then he's just succinctly lays it all out for him. And he's like, yeah, I'm not even trying to mess you guys up. I just want to be a part of it. So can I be a part of it? Because I love you guys. You guys are my best friends.
Yeah, in terms of Young June and Assam, Hong is chaotic good.
Okay, and then Young June is what? Chaotic evil?
He's
so
just
what's
confused. I don't know. I didn't do the other guys, but yeah, Hong just shows up. And
Young June is the question mark in the LGBTQ list. We don't know. He's like Gonzo. He's over there.
Yeah.
The chick.
But I just Hong is Assam's like, I'll think of something, and Hong basically is like, I'm something.
Yeah. Yeah. Hong is the best. He's like the tiger in Secret Life of Pets, who's just like super, super nice, but he keeps fucking shit up unintentionally. Except he doesn't even do that. He just fucks shit up intentionally when he has to. It's amazing. There we go. I got a PG reference in myself. Secret Life of Pets. So Nellie Davenport is leaving a lasting legacy for these women whose very existence in California is illegal. I think this is really important, and I don't mean to beat this dead horse, but like, these women are illegal there, but she set it up so even after she dies, like, this place is a sanctuary for them, and they can exist there. Nobody can touch them there. And it's like, it's a really cool thing. And Atoy's totally into it. And then she has a good metaphor where wine in barrels is in transition. And that's why she loves being around the wine in the barrels. And grape juice is sweet, but it's unrefined. And if you drink too much of it, you'll shit your pants. But with wine, but with a little patience and care, it becomes something else, which I thought was funny. Because that something else almost invariably gives you a horrible fucking hangover. But
Nellie's a lady. She drinks in moderation.
Sure. It still gives you a fucking migraine. I've never met a woman who doesn't get looks at wine, gets a migraine.
You're looking at me.
Yeah. Oh, you don't get migraines from wine?
No.
Well, there you go. All right. Well, hey, you are the first. I'm always like, why do you do this if it hurts you? But it seems like women love to eat things that hurts them.
I don't know. Maybe because I've just learned to complain about the things that are actually bugging me. All
right. Well, whatever works. This episode was so full of cliche lines, and then we had ripped right out of any kind of a soppy moment in a rom-com or a Harlequin romance novel where she goes, "You take care of so many people, but who takes care of you, Atoy?"
Oh yeah, no, that was
And then they kiss, and then it goes right into the Skinamax, just softcore porn.
Yes, yes. Because Nellie, she is never getting involved with a man again. She has her own money. She has her own land. She knows how men treat women. She is, no, No man is getting near her britches. Never. Nuh-uh.
We have a lot of LGBTQ characters in this, which is, I mean, the concept of that wasn't a Victorian, that was a Victorian age concept that came, in the 1890s, right?
Ish, yeah. I mean, the whole thing about these women who are just really good friends and roommates and have lived together for 40, 50, 60 years, or men, the same thing. Like, that was just something that existed. And as long as you... Yeah,
the confirmed bachelors with the lifelong roommate.
Yes.
They used to talk about that in Hollywood all the time, and it was the funniest thing.
Well, so this is the funny thing about the Chinese fighters going after Hong for, like, being gay, quote unquote, and this is why I more think it's like they know Hong could fuck them up, so they have to, like, take him down a few pegs, and that was just the way they chose it. Because this is what happens, like, in high schools all the time. You can be gay if you're being gay the right way, if you're, like, a theater kid or something. It's like, oh, yeah, I love my gay friends, but, you know, show up in a, like, it's... But they'll only make...
Oh, yeah, I don't want to shower with a gay dude.
Yeah. Or if, like, there's somebody you're in competition with and you want to put them sort of outside, then you accuse them of being gay so, like, they can't get a crew together to protect themselves. Whether they are or not.
It was just filthy motherfuckers who didn't want to wash their ass after practice. Like, I genuinely just thought it was dirty people. I didn't even think it was homophobia. I genuinely thought it was filthy people.
I don't know. Yeah, the Victorians have a lot to answer for, and people not being able to wash their own bodies is definitely one of them.
Yes, the women who were showering with their clothes on at this time.
Right.
Yes.
Oh.
Ooh, and spoiler alert, people shower with their clothes on in copper.
Ah, okay. We'll definitely jump into that one. And
I'm going to force it.
And not just because I get to see a young Tom Weston Jones. So, so we sort of, like, set up Atoy and Nellie. We set up young June and Assam and Hong. And then we get Wong Chao and the Feng Hai.
All right, so Zing is trying to do the same shit to Chow that he did to O'Hara.
Yes.
Where he overpays him to keep him in his pocket. But Chow's too smart for that. He's like, no, I'm not a bank. I'm not holding on to your money. That was
great.
You keep this. Yeah, it was a great line. Chow is so smooth. But, yeah, and so when he gets rebuffed there, then Zing tries the same shit with that he did with Mai Ling, where he made her drink. Except he knew Chow wouldn't drink, so then they pin him down and force him to drink the kooks.
Yes, yeah. I mean, it's really, he's trying to take Wong Chao down a peg politely, I guess. And Wong Chao is like, no, I will not be your bitch. But Wong Chao also doesn't have the power center that Mai Ling has, where Mai Ling is sort of like, sure, I'll drink your kumis, but I'm still the head of my own tong. Whereas Wong Chao is like, no, I can't bow to anyone.
Yeah, and I think, I don't remember which character it was who pointed that out to him. O'Hara, maybe? But he was like, you're all on your own here. Like, you need to crew up with somebody. You need to have somebody have your back. And this is where he's seeing, oh, yeah, I think maybe I need somebody to have my back.
Yeah. And so Li Yong is in on the plot and is wearing that disguise as they're, like, hauling.
He looks like a racist cartoon from 1905. Like, the Japs are at war with the Russians. And then they show a, like, incredibly racist cartoon of a Japanese person. That is genuinely what this looks like.
Yeah, with the glasses. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
This is...
And I swear he was even, like, holding his front teeth out or something. Like, I probably just remember it because that's how the cartoon is. But, like, he really looked like those cartoons.
Yeah, and I had to stop and, like, dig through sort of glasses historicity. Like, I realize, like, we're veering off that sometimes for dramatic purposes. But I'm like, no. Those are glasses aimed...
They're like Charlie Chaplin or Charlie Chan
those glasses were aimed at us as the viewer. Like, Li Yong is in disguise because because glasses at this day and age would have been like really thin metal. Like you had your glasses made at the jewelers.
Okay.
And maybe they were starting to do like tortoiseshell frames, but again, they would have been really thin, like that big honkin' like thick. Yeah, that was sort of like Toys Crazy Dresses. That was done at us, the viewer, to make a point.
Gotcha. Yeah, I couldn't. I mean, I feel like at some point I saw Bruce Lee doing some kind of. He was in some kind of disguise like that, so I feel like it might have been a callback to a Bruce Lee movie. But who knows?
Right? Yeah, sure. But again,
but yeah, so it was an amazing disguise, and then he just starts hacking up the Feng Hai, and but at the same time that's happening, then Chow's trapped now.
Yeah.
Because they know something's going on, and that so they know that he's involved somehow, and so they just start beating on him. And Chow turns out to be a bit of a badass, like I had predicted. I mean, he doesn't go crazy beating people up, but he is surrounded by like 100
Yeah,
people.
and that was that moment. You're like, okay, so if Chow has survived as far as he has to know how to throw down at some level.
Yeah, and he's doing a lot of grappling and headbutting, but I think that's probably what would have worked in that situation, honestly. Meanwhile, Lee Yong is in full Kill Bill mode. He's on the stairs. He kills 5 people on the stairs. I counted. He kills 5 people on the stairs, and he's gouging the eyes out of a 6th person when the Feng Hai starts shooting arrows at him. So like John Wick, he blocks with the body, and he absorbs the arrows with the body and kills the last guy.
I definitely stopped for a moment. I'm like, it's Mongol archers!
It was amazing. Also, seeing archers shoot indoors, it seems like such a strange thing that's going on. Like, I just can't imagine somebody shooting a bow and arrow in a house.
But on the other hand, if you're the Feng Hai, like that is your distance weapon. Like your guys don't carry guns, so.
They've been living in the United States. How much bow time are they getting? I think that's probably more of a nod to their past than any kind of
Cumis.
What's that?
If they're brewing Cumis, they're doing archery practice.
You're probably right. I mean, there is hunting at this. They got to hunt for their food, so there is that.
I mean, that's the whole thing with these Mongol dudes who are doing their Mongol pretensions. You know, they're going out there doing target practice and everything, just like dudes go out and do like gun target practice. The Chinese can't own guns.
Yeah, they're probably playing that weird Kazakh game with the goat as a ball. But so one of those Mongols then decides that he is going to finish Chow. And he gives us another amazingly stupid line. Let's see how those big balls handle steel. And then we get a Derringer callback.
Mostly can't own guns.
And Chow blows his head off with his tiny little Derringer. Oh, there were 80s lines galore.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You're out of bullets. And he's like, I don't think so.
Yeah, because right after that, then the white woman who is inexplicably in the Feng Hai attacks him, and she goes, "You're out of bullets, asshole!" And then he goes, "Wrong," and holds up his other hand and blasts her with the other Derringer.
Yeah, it's a single-shot Derringer. That's the way it worked. Like, it was just a single-shot gun. Occasionally, you might run across double-shot Derringers, but that was the whole thing. They're tiny little guns. They don't have any chamber or anything. It's just a barrel with a bullet and a hammer, and that's it.
Yeah. And boy, I mean, that was just so good. That was like something out of Wild Wild West or something.
Yeah,
with Will Smith.
Yeah.
It was so good. And then so Lee Yong and Zing, so that's going on. We've got this crazy, weird, a Wild West fight going on downstairs. Upstairs, Lee Yong and Zing are in a Run Shaw throwback Redux fight. Down to sound effects, the noises they make. Like, whoa, they're doing everything in an old kung fu way.
I mean, the way they started it out, Zing's like, yeah, we're going to have to throw down you or me. And Liang's like, I don't even think about you.
Yeah. I mean, it's totally, they're doing all of the stances and the showdown, which is a callback to the spaghetti westerns that are a callback to Akira Kurosawa movies. So it's just like, It's callbacks after callback after callback. And the cops are shooting everyone. I mean, they're just blowing the heads off every single person they see. And if they're not blowing their head off with a bullet, they're smashing their head in with the butt of their gun. It is gnarly what they're doing to these people.
That was really fun because, O'Hara's got his boyos outside, getting ready. He's like, just wait for the signal from Chow. Like, they're sitting out there waiting for that. And, so we do get the classic guns versus swords throwdown.
Yeah, because they come charging in as the second that Chow fires his Derringer. Then the cops come blasting through the door, and they're tearing everybody up. So now it's a three-way fight, and Li Yong is proving he's superior to Xing during their fight by matching all their different styles. Did you notice they kept switching? They'd have like a kicks only round.
Yeah, they had all of these like different styles, and I after some of our discussions earlier about how glad we are this is 21st century versus 20th century Kung Fu, I was like, they have to be slowing some of this stuff down so it looks good on camera. Oh, yeah. Some of it was kind of funny. The little weird backwards jump kick that Li Yong did, I was like, I guess he's showing off his Taekwondo. I don't know what's going on there, but it was a very fun fight because they really got to showcase a lot of different styles. And also, Li Yong gave us that little Bruce Lee jog in place and then settle in while you wipe your nose kind of jog. Yeah, you made me bleed my own blood.
Yeah, exactly.
And I did definitely enjoy the roll and pop up. I'm like, yep, everybody loves to see that too.
Yeah, and then meanwhile downstairs we got O'Hara is a goddamn death machine. He's killing everything. Oh, yeah. And Lee looks like as if Poe was the central character in like Taken 0. They're like it's Liam Neeson's great grandfather, and it's Edgar Allan Poe.
Right,
and he's on a murder spree. His niece got taken, and now he's gonna go kill everyone because he's just a walking corpse, just going around executing people.
So I was also laughing at the Li Yong Xing fight because it was sort of like Li Yong did kind of what Assam did to him in the ring, where he's like almost down, and so he kind of pauses for effect and everything, and then Xing pops back up. I'm like, that's karma. It is definitely important that Xing picks up the planted blade.
Yes, so the whole reason why Li Yong and his crew snuck in through the basement was to plant the sword, and so they got kind of caught in the midst of it. And that's what precipitated the fight that then started the entire thing. So it was amazing. As soon as I was like, grab it. He got it. And so as soon as he swung that sword once, it was over. And he must have known grabbing that sword meant the cops were going to kill him.
And so, he gets up there and, dude, O'Hara still doesn't know. You can't just extend your arm and point a gun at these kung fu guys. They will always fuck your shit up, and so Lee has to save his ass again.
But eventually he gets Xing in the shoulder and then tortures him, digs his finger in the wound, and it was egregious. Oh, yeah. It was egregious, but it's the 19th century. I'm sure there was a lot of people. Man, can you imagine any person in their right mind seeing another person digging their finger into a gunshot wound would probably start throwing up uncontrollably. I can't even imagine what that must feel like.
And Xing is just as mad that Li Yong made him break. He was just like, okay, that really fucking hurts.
Yeah, he dipped out in a real sneaky way too. He just kind of whoop. It was almost like the Crow. He just vanished out the window.
Yeah. So, and we have lots of cleaning stuff up here.
Oh, yeah, and lots of planting evidence. So, and Lee knows that the evidence is planted because they even plant a locket. They even plant a locket with the murdered man's initials on it. So, just to wrap it up with a nice, neat bow. Like, oh, yeah, he killed the lawyer, and he's definitely the swordsman. We got him. He has a sword. We got the lawyer's locket.
A little too convenient?
Well, I mean, it's obvious. He's like, so we just showed up for a raid, and then all this evidence was just laying here out for us to see?
And so O'Hara's like, look, we got the sword, we got the watch, we got this. And Lee's like, no, there's no way this can be. I was like, where did you go get a bump, dude? Because you are wound up again.
Yeah. Well, and also, he's. You think maybe he's a little grouchy? I mean, the man's had a migraine for like a year now because of your dumbass.
And O'Hara is just like, look, we have all the answers. We'll make everybody happy. Will you just shut up? I don't want to look any closer. And then my favorite part of this whole thing between O'Hara and Lee, O'Hara is busting Lee's chops for being grouchy, which again, flip-flop from everything from before.
Yeah, he does everything but go, oh yeah, so you going to go celebrate with your wife and kids at home? Oh no, you're not, aren't you? Oh.
Right.
Yeah. You're going to go home and eat cold food by yourself alone in a darkened house with nothing because no one likes you.
But so O'Hara's like climbing up out of his deep, dark pit, and Leah's like, you don't belong up here. I am going to smash you back down into the misery you should be experiencing. God damn it.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, we get to see Leong adding to his collection of scars.
Yes. Sexy scars.
Chick stick scars, right?
And then we go on to Mai Ling, who did not know about the raid or the Fong Hai's attack on O'Hara.
Oh, and she starts off partly pissed. Like, I thought you were my boy who didn't have any of his own thoughts. Like, what the hell?
Yeah. Who are you having thoughts in your head? If I want you to have thoughts, I'll have them for you.
I'll tell you what they are, exactly. Mm-hmm.
And I'll beat them into you.
And Leong is like, look, there's more to being your bodyguard than just stopping like people standing in front of you from beating you up. There's more to keeping you safe than that. Like, it's not that simple. Stop pretending it's like, he's like, I'm trying to protect you and you're not making it easy.
And that is a perfect counterpoint to the scene that follows it, isn't it?
Yeah, we're back. We're back with Assam and Young June, and it's like, so how'd it go with Happy Jack? Happy Jack was not happy with us.
Yeah. And so he goes to Atoy for help, and he goes, you are just like your sister. Jesus Christ. You guys are both murderous idiots who are trying to kill each other for no reason, and you're fucking us all up in the process.
It's like, but I thought I was supposed to like be she's like, this is not making the world a better place, and she is definitely in, like, there are ways you make things better and the ways that you fuck shit up. And this is another one of those moments where it's like, yeah, you're making it so you can maybe say, maybe today is a good day to die, but I'm just going to get killed like on the side, or like my whole livelihood is going to burn down to the ground because of something you guys are doing over there, and I'm going to get totally fucked over and I have no control over it. She is, I can just see her just like,
yeah, you assholes, like, stop smashing everything, especially right on the heels of seeing Nellie Davenport's heaven for the Chinese women of the area. Like, it has to rankle.
Yes. And then we see, speaking of people who fucked up and don't want to admit what they did was wrong, and so trying to do all the other things to try to cover it up instead of actually solving the problem, we get Wong Chow kidnapping his bebe.
Yes. He is kidnapping his daughter so she's not going to live with a quote-unquote whore, as he put it. And he is giving her to Nellie so that she can place her with a white family so she can live as a white girl.
So I guess she doesn't look too Chinese. But this was another thing. It's like, hey, dude, when, she's pregnant with your kid, maybe you could have set her up in a nice apartment somewhere. And, like, yeah, she can't come work for your crew, but I'm sure you could have found her, like, a job, making hats, like, or something.
Yeah, sell one of your many top hats, perhaps, and buy them a place to live. Like an adult with dignity and self-respect.
Yes, yeah, but instead it's like, well, I did possibly slightly less than the bare minimum to keep my kid okay, and so this woman had to go, like, laundry wasn't bringing enough money, I wasn't giving her enough money, because, I had to buy a new top hat. And it's like, how How dare she go back on the game?
He's a lone wolf, and he's gonna lone wolf it. I'm a wolf pack of one.
So yeah, and so, but yeah, he takes the baby not to like give her a home, but to like, oh, I'll hand her off to somebody else who will take care of her. I mean, it's.
And there won't be any problems because everybody else thinks she's white.
Right. Yeah. But it is that thing where a certain kind of man doesn't want his children's mother to take care of him. I'm going to take care of him. But all he does is like get a series of girlfriends to take care of the kid instead of actually being a parent. And that was a version of this.
Wow. Well, wow. All right. Wow. I've lost... Oh, yes. So then we cut to Assam in an MTV pit fight inside of a beach ship. And he's sliding through water like Neo in The Matrix.
Oh, somebody went to therapy, didn't they?
This should have been set to Godsmack. Like, I stand alone. It was so, like, it felt like Triple X or something.
Yeah. No, I mean, the slo-mo, the screaming, the rain. I mean, yeah, oh yeah, they were like, how many like dramatic fight cliches can we smoosh into this?
Yeah. Let's make Zack Snyder love this scene. No, slow it down, make it slower. Oh my God, Zack Snyder loves slow motion.
Yeah, this was definitely a bare chest show to end all bare chest episodes.
There was a lot of male nipples. It was wall-to-wall male nipples. I don't think a man had a shirt on the entire time.
But
you know who has a shirt on and a hood? Myling, dressed like Little Blue Riding Hood.
Now she understands how to wear a disguise cape. That was a proper disguise cape.
Yeah, it didn't have any blinking lights on it. It wasn't diamond encrusted. She didn't have a herald announcing her arrival in each room with a horn.
Yeah, that was a proper disguise cape. So she is like, awesome. This isn't gonna work out. Don't be a dumbass. And then she starts crying about it, like, hey.
Oh, the crocodile tears.
I was like, is she acting? Because I feel like she's acting. Yep, she was acting. Because she was like, well, that didn't work, so I'll go back to my corner, and you go to your corner, and I'm just going to fuck you up. Yep.
Yeah. She's like, I'm really sorry for trying to kill you, but you're my brother, and we can work this out. And he's like, your brother died the minute you ordered your boyfriend to kill me. And she's like, nope, well, yeah.
All right, that didn't work.
Touche. Well, we all make mistakes, but, well, it's good seeing you, and we'll catch you later.
Yeah. So.
Till that day.
Yeah. And then Vegas like, sup? What's going on over there? Nothing.
Yeah, now I know why you won't fuck me. That's basically the line she had. Oh, so that's the lady you're fucking instead of me.
It's like, no, nothing. It's nothing. It was nothing.
No. And you know what? You want to know how much of a man I am? I'm going to do the blood sport. Put me in the blood sport. Get me into the blood sport. I'm going to beat somebody up for you.
So nobody's emotionally healthy now. Huh?
If I could explain to you what it is in a male's mind that makes sense about I'm going to beat that man up for you, that makes sense as a way to lure the woman in, I would. But in our head, it's like a billboard that lights up. It's like, she'll love that. Why? Why does that happen? What in our stupid monkey brain makes us do that?
I don't know. I mean, women are just as dopey with some of, like, I'll have a baby so he'll stay, or I can make it all up by doing a thing, fixing a meal, washing clothes, doing domestic stuff. And that'll smooth something over that I don't want to deal with. Like, yeah, we both have I'll do a thing that's not the thing I need to fix, but it makes me feel like, yeah, we all do it. We all have versions of that.
It looks like I'm doing something that makes sense to me.
Or, makes sense to me because society has educated me that this is the thing I should be doing. Yeah, for sure. for sure.
Well, and also it's much easier to do that thing because you're used to doing that thing than doing a different thing, which is much more uncomfortable.
Yeah, digging down and like dealing with the actual problem that it is, because usually solving those problems means talking about things you're not allowed to talk about.
I feel like he's not going to do that in the blood sport, though. I feel like when he goes to this tournament, he's just going to, punch away his pain.
Yeah. It'll solve it for a while. I mean, those action hormones are effective. I mean, yeah, when, I'd win a match or something, I don't have any problems in the world. I'll tell you that.
Well, we'll see if that works out for Assam, because everybody on Earth knows about these two idiots' plan, so Father Doom has to fucking know. And how they don't know that he even told them he knew when they went out of the house the one day, and he was sitting outside, and he was like, "You were always a fucking pain in the ass. Your mom actually hated you, and she left you as a baby because..." I don't remember how many episodes ago that was. But, he was telling him, like, "I know what you're doing, you dumbass. Stop doing it."
I think that was, like, episode 2, where he's like, if you're just...
It's where Hong showed up.
Yeah.
Right when Hong
if you're going to be a rigid tree, you're just going to get broken and blown over. You gotta breathe, chill, sway with the wind a little bit. No! I'm going to go fuck shit up. That's the thing. I'm a hyperactive little 4-year-old. Ah!
Young June, examining Young June's behavior in every episode is a nice reminder to me ways to stay out of jail. Just don't be like Young June.
So, it said just do the opposite.
Because I tell you, my heart agrees with Young June in every decision that he makes. My heart sings with every decision he makes. The Ode to Joy plays. But my brain goes, shut the fuck up, to the orchestra. And they keep playing, but my brain just keeps yelling, shut up. So.
Well, in fact, I think the next episode is speaking to you, right?
What is the name of the next episode?
To a man with a hammer, everything looks like a nail.
If the title of a book about my life from age 0 to age 42 was going to be anything, that would be it. It would just be called Everything is a Nail, I Am the Hammer.
And learning that sometimes a screwdriver or even a paintbrush might be useful in this situation. Yeah.
I can't fix a car. It might not surprise you to know, because you can't fix a car with a hammer. God knows I would try, though.
Well, not cars these days, but I'm sure there were definitely aspects about a Model T that were hammer receptive.
We used to beat on everything to make it work, so I'm sure everything... I mean, by God, we used to make the heater in the house worked. Sometimes you had to hit it with a wrench. I don't know why you had to hit the radiator with a wrench in old houses, but you did.
In that case, you're probably beating the calcified scale off of a valve somewhere. Get it to drop down.
Oh, all right. We got some old buildings on the East Coast.
The British were like... That's not old. But to us West Coast people, like, wow, 100 years old? Holy moly.
No, the town I grew up in was founded in 1687.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
history.
Fieldstone things, yeah.
Oh, yes, so many. It was so much just piled rock.
Well, yes.
Well, I think that's it.
So, if I want to watch about the history of making people look like Leon, where do I look?
You would go to my Instagram, @PlagueOfStrength on the Instagrams. It is awesome. I post every day, sometimes twice a day, about all things exciting and muscular and sweaty. So, men and women, people of all genders. In fact, I just posted the thing about Barbette, gender-bending trapeze artist of the 19th century and early 20th century, and, well,
Okay, so this goes back to that earlier Barbary Coast episode.
Oh, no. This was a person who grew up in who was born in 1899, I believe. And yeah, it was 1899. And he grew up in Texas, rural Texas, and he was a young gay boy. And at age 14, he applied to become a trapeze artist to replace somebody in this. They were called like the Alpharetta sisters or something like that. And one of the sisters had died because trapeze artists died all the time because they had no nets back then.
Oh yeah,
and
no nets.
So he started practicing with her, and she said, well, male trapeze artists don't make any money. You should perform as a woman and we'll stay as the Alpharetta sisters. So he started performing in drag to make more money, and he became crazy famous. His first performance as a solo artist was in the Harlem Opera Theater. So he was part of the Harlem Renaissance, and then got super popular in Europe. So he was the number 2 earning physique star of the 1920s.
Oh wow!
The number 1 being Lucida Lears. She was just a ultra famous trapeze and rings artist who was also the world record holder in one-arm chin-ups.
Okay.
So she remains male or female, remains the record holder for that.
Awesome.
She did so many one-arm chins that people actually don't believe that it was possible.
That's sort of, yeah, the physical ability of people who just, like you said in an earlier episode, you get somebody who's dedicated enough, the physicality they can pull off is literally unbelievable.
Yeah, and she was raised for it, but she was the first woman to have a Pullman car. She was crazy rich. She was the first woman and the first circus performer to have a Pullman car, so a Pullman sleeping car.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay. Well, you can find me at the History of American Food, and I am heading to New Orleans because between 1776 and 1815, that's when the Louisiana Purchase happened. So gumbo officially becomes an American food in 1803. And boy, does it not look the same.
I am very interested in this because my mom is Cajun, and so I grew up eating a lot of gumbo, and so I'm interested to find out about what goes into this gumbo. I'm sure okra was a part of it, correct?
Yes, and so when you were eating gumbo raised by a mother with Cajun heritage, were you eating it with rice?
Yes.
Okay, so that is a 20th century thing. What was going down in the 19th century? Cajuns were eating their gumbo with cornmeal mush.
I was just about to say corn hominy. Yeah.
Yes, only the fancy city Creoles were eating rice.
Interesting. So when did beignets come in? Do you know? Because I love a beignet.
I haven't really looked into that, but that's going to be a French pastry thing, but they were definitely going to be a big thing in America because we were raising lard hogs, so we had a lot of frying oil.
Oh my God! Have you? Well, I'm sure you've had beignets, and then you've got your Café du Monde and all that. But to anybody who hasn't had one, I assume that they're from the 19th century, and it's a 19th century donut, and it's it's the most delicious buttery, sugary confection. Can you describe it better than I can? You are a food historian.
Well, first of all, I'm going to say, sadly, Café du Monde has gone downhill. That's not where you should get your beignets anymore.
Oh, yeah. My references are dated for sure. I haven't been in 30 years, probably.
Right. Yeah, no, it's just become a complete tourist trap. But yeah, it's a raised dough, like a yeast raised dough thing. Made with cake flour, so it's really super light and soft. And yeah, it's a French donut in the nut of dough tradition.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of like a cross between a donut and a funnel cake. There's a funnel cake aspect to it for sure.
Yeah, no, it is like a lot of the donuts that we eat now are more of like the cake style. They're just raised with baking soda or baking powder versus one that's yeast raised. And again, this is a southern. Oh, you'll have to listen to my thing on.
Is that like an Indian flatbread thing, or a Native American flatbread thing?
Possibly, but I was going to say this is a North flour versus South flour thing. The flour in the South had a lot less gluten at this time, and so it made awesome cakes and biscuits, but it made terrible bread. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. The biscuit texture is not right for bread for sure.
Yeah,
I can make the hell out of some biscuits. I cannot.
So
make a bread.
look up my episodes on wheat and flour and all that jazz, and that's what I'm doing. I'm unwinding all this mess.
Nice. Yeah, I just chewed up a couple of your episodes. I was texting you about it. I love that show. It's so much fun. And those episodes go so quick. You really have a great pace on them.
Thank you. Yeah. So we will be back next week, and I'm guessing more carnage will ensue.
Yes, indeed. All right.
All right.
See you next week.
See you next week. We're on Instagram at PCG Podcast, and you can always reach out to us by email at pcgpodcasters@gmail.com. And you can find more dope beats like this one from royalraven.com.